Welcome students. In an historic judgment by Supreme Court, which overturns or at least changes the concept of social justice in India, the subcategorization of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes is allowed. So today we are discussing about it right from the genesis and what can be the impacts about it. In the end, I shall give you a mains question which you try to attempt it. So the understanding of social justice in India stems from the concept of Savarna, which means there was a Varna-based discrimination. You may call it caste-based discrimination or occupation-based discrimination, but it is historic discrimination. So, unlike OBCs, who were considered as economically backward or socially backward, these people were socially backward from pre-independence era and even from centuries. So, till today, as President notifies the list of scheduled castes were treated as monolithic. When I say monolithic, it means every caste in scheduled caste list is treated equally, and even the generations together. The son and daughter of already benefited scheduled caste representative, it may be a son of bureaucrat, son of a politician who has been occupying better positions, are equally treated as any other scheduled caste who are not as deprived as others. So this monolithic classification was under question. Now the question, was that rise for the first time? No. In E.V. Chinnappa case, this E.V. Chinnappa case, E.V. Chinnappa versus State of Andhra Pradesh. Here, it was stated that subclassification of scheduled castes would lead to politicization and it is not favorable, and court ruled against classification, and this was in 2004. Now, back in 2024, exactly after 20 years, now this decision has been turned out and subclassification of scheduled caste is allowed. Now the question comes, what is difference between subclassification and subcategorization? Unlike the subcategorization of OBCs, not any particular caste or any particular grouping of caste is permitted to take the whole of it and exclude the other. Now, with SE subclassification, you may find classifying of various castes who were under the scheduled caste list differently. For example, Mazhabi Sikhs and Balmikis of Punjabs might be classified differently. Malas and Madigas of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana might be classified differently. So, the intelligent differentia which is under Article 14 is also applied here to make sure unequals are treated unequally. Now the question comes, can creamy layer be introduced in scheduled caste criteria as well? Supreme Court was careful enough to answer this. It said with proper empirical data and evidence, creamy layer concept could also be introduced. So then the question comes, what can be the implementation problems and what can be the problem politically? So while implementing, the first thing comes is about empirical data. When we say empirical itself, it has to have concrete and rational data. But when it comes to discrimination, it's subjective. Who was discriminated more than other castes becomes subjective. And that too, it's an historical thing. So if they can do this properly, then the evidence that could be gathered to classify is in place. Now the second thing comes, after classification, will a caste be shifted to other category? This would be another question, because in a BC categorization, suppose in BC there is classification of A, B, C, D, and someone who is in D might feel there is less reservation and more castes are clubbed, want to be classified as B or A, and can this transition be allowed in SCs as well in future? Because it is again subject to the political motives and political lobbying. But as we said, Supreme Court is crystal clear in asking for empirical data to suggest that classification. Again, now, if wanted, they can implement the reservation, but this implementation, will that impact powers of state to get more powers than center to classify differently in their own states? So, center would have the ultimate authority here, but states need to propose and initiate to make sure center would implement that. I think broadly it is clear. So before leaving you in this video, I would urge you to attempt a mains question. The mains question says, with altering the judgments in case of reservations, examine the political implications and transforming social justice concept. You can examine the statement as part of your question and you can answer it in 250 words. Thank you.